Hello and welcome to Culture Fusion. How are you? And I hope you are very well. Welcome to Culture Fusion. My name is Omolara Sheweje, popularly called Olu Sheweje MC Extraordinaire, and this is Culture Fusion. Once again, I say welcome to the show, and you're listening to Culture Fusion on Heartsong Live Radio. If you have not downloaded the Heartsong Live app yet, please download the Heartsong Live app on your App Store or on your Play Store. Get the Heartsong Live app and you will always enjoy different, wonderful programs on Heartsong Live Radio. Culture Fusion is a show that is designed to teach culture, teach people about the importance of learning about other people's culture, learning about one's culture, learning about the in-depth, the similarities between cultures, the beauties about different cultures of the world. We also let people understand on this show that all cultures are beautiful, all cultures are unique, all cultures are wonderful. Cultures have their differences as well, but every culture should be respected because each culture has its norms, it has its rules, it has its reasons for choosing such ways of life. Stay tuned, guys. You're welcome to Culture Fusion. My name is Omolara Augustina Sheweje, popularly called Olori Sheweje MC Extraordinaire. Stay tuned and I'll be right back. Yeah, you're welcome back. You're welcome back. This is, Amazing Grace, and you're listening to the pipes and drums of Lindsay. Oh, Linisk. Okay, Linisk. Yeah. Bear with me. All right. So, once again, I say welcome to Culture Fusion. My name is Omolara Sheweje. If you're just joining us on the show, I say welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about, diverse cultures, how they mix together, how they are similar, the similarities and, the uniqueness of each culture, the beauties about each culture. I'm going to be talking about African culture, Asian culture, and European cultures. Particularly, I'm going to be talking about Scottish culture. I'm going to be talking about Indian culture. And I'm going to be talking about West African culture. I'm not going to be too specific about West Africa because West African culture kind of, it's cuts across one another. However, I might be dwelling on Nigerian culture precisely a little bit, and I will still move a little bit I'll still tilt into Ghana and, back and forth like that. So, yes, what are we going to be dwelling on? We're going to be dwelling on the fashion. We're going to be dwelling on the similarities in the outfits in these cultures. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about fabric, outfits, the fashion, designs, and all of that. All right, so let's dive into it. Now, talking about fashion, fabric, we're going to be talking about the Igbo George. They call it George. Yes, there's this fabric that is peculiar to Igbo people. They usually call it wrapper because, it's kind of long. They, wrap it around the waist. Sometimes to make it easier, some people have modernized the designs and they've made it they'll make a skirt and then they make a wrapper at the top. But from the olden days and, ancient times, people have always used double wrappers. So these fabrics are extremely embroidered. They're very gorgeous. They're very silky. Some are full, some of them are cotton, some of them are silky, some of them are beaded, some of them are embroidered. That's the fabric of the Igbo tribe, that's the southeastern people of Nigeria. And we're going to be talking about the Scottish kilt. The kilt is a fabric that, is not sewn. However, there's a way it's, folded and it actually looks like a skirt. that's quite interesting about, that's something really interesting about the kilt. And we're also going to be talking about the sari. The sari, the Indian sari. You see, these three fabrics are extremely unique, and they're very, interesting fabrics that they kind of like cut across, because you see the Igbo, George, and the Scottish kilt and the saris. These three fabrics can actually be used without being sewn, without having to use any machines on them. However, they are used to make outfits, and they actually come out extremely gorgeous. Now, the Igbo people, they usually, use a blouse on theirs. The Scottish people would wear a shirt on the kilt, and the sari people would wear a little top in underneath, just to cover the bosom. Some of the time their tummy is kind of exposed. Is the sari that wraps around and covers the belly button and the tummy angle. And these are three fabrics that cut across these three different regions. These are different representations of three continents, because India is in Asia, the Igbo tribe is in Nigeria in Africa, and Scotland is in the European region under the United Kingdom. And these are three different, kind of mode of dressing that are actually similar. How are they similar? These three different outfits, they are fabrics that are not usually, dressed by a machine, like a sewing machine or something. However, they are made they are wrapped around the body, and they adorn the body. The sari is quite lengthy, and when it's tied, you'll be made to feel like it's being sewn somewhere. However, it's the highest that you can get that connects the sari is probably a pin. Same thing with the Scottish kilt. You see, cultures are very, very similar. However, they differ. But the ideologies behind different things that are being done in different cultures are usually driven by different people in different regions, just to achieve one unique goal: to stand out, to be unique, to look gorgeous, and to look beautiful. And that is exactly the reason why everyone wearing a kilt dresses in a kilt. The same reason why everyone who wears the sari also wears the sari. At the same time, it's also the same reason why people would wear the Igbo George. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that interesting? I mean, it is a very, very interesting fact to think that people from different regions have the same kind of ideologies to use literally fabric without sewing them, come up with a wonderful design, come up with something beautiful, and get inside of it, and they look absolutely amazing. You hardly find any woman from the southeastern part of Nigeria wearing a George and you would not look at them twice. Same way a man dressed in Scottish kilt or a woman dressed in the Scottish kilt, the same way you look at them and you will be amazed. Why? Because they look gorgeous. They look stunning always in the kilt. It is a very, very unique kind of dressing. When someone is dressed in a kilt, you know that this person is out for something very, very important. This person is going for an important event, an important ceremony, because grooms, Scottish grooms wear the kilt, people who play the bagpipe at ceremonial events as well always, usually are dressed in the kilt. Even, people of high elites, whenever they are going for a very, very, wonderful, like a ceremony, something to stand out in, definitely they will be dressed in the kilt. So it's as unique as the George. However, the cultures, the ideologies behind them are just the things that make them a bit different. However, they're all for the same purpose. Now let's talk about the sari. The same way, an Igbo woman would dress in the sari is the same way, the same way an Igbo woman would dress in the George is the same way an Indian woman would dress in the sari, and she would stand out. The sari, there are different types of sari, and there are different grades of sari. The same way the George, like I said, you've got the silky ones, you've got the ones made of cotton, and different, there are some that are embroidered as well. So that's the same way you have different grades of sari. However, to stand out as an elegant Indian woman, you're definitely in a sari. And the grade of your sari now speaks the volume of, your wealth or your importance, or maybe the reason why you're wearing the sari, or the occasion you're wearing the sari too. Because, there are bridal saris, there are bridal George as well, those are the exquisite ones that someone who's up to a big ceremony, maybe a wedding or a birthday or something, is definitely going to fit into such, because there are saris you wouldn't just want to wear on a regular day. The same way there are George outfits that you wouldn't want to wear on a regular day. Why? Because they are very gorgeous, they're extremely gorgeous, they're extremely expensive. Who would want to wear something extremely expensive just for a casual, outing and all of that? So, see, now let's go back to the main. Now we are talking about the George for the people of the southeastern Nigeria. We're talking about the kilt that belongs to the Scottish people, and we're talking about the sari that belongs to the Indians, the Southern Asians, the Southern Asian people. And it's a very wonderful thing to know that these are different, these outfits that are for these that we're talking about are from three different locations entirely, to three entirely different continents, yet one ideology brings them together: fashion, beauty, gorgeousness, elegance. And that is one thing we need to realize, that every culture has its ideology of beauty. Every culture has its ideology of fashion. Every culture has its ideology of elegance. Whether you like it or not, what you see as elegant in your culture might look outrageous in another person's culture. However, that is what they love, and that's how they see their beauty. That is how they visualize their own beauty. So what I would say in this aspect is, rather than criticize some people's ideologies or mentality, I would say respect them. Why? Because it's their way of life. It's there is definitely a story behind every ideology. There is definitely a story behind every history. There is actually a story behind every single reason why people of a region, people of a country, people of a nation believe in one thing or the other. So it's important for us to respect each and every other person's ideologies, because we do, as long as you don't know the reason why they have, why they value such, is just a sign of respect when you learn to respect what people get respect, because it is improper when you feel like your own culture is better than another one and you make an attempt to erase, the culture of a people. Yes, these are things that have happened in the past. However, it's up to us as a people to uphold our beliefs. It's up to us as a people to uphold our passion, our values by ourselves. Because if our values are not respected, we have the main responsibility to ensure that even if an outsider does not respect our values, we still keep our values to heart. We still keep our values and hold them high, because it is only when we hold them high that our values will be appreciated and our values will be respected. Would go on a quick break right now, and we will be back shortly. And when we'll be back, we'll talk more about some of these things, some of these cultural values that we have been discussing. We have talked about the George, the sari, and the Scottish kilt. I will be right back with you. If you're just joining the show, my name is Omolara Augustina Sheweje, and this is Culture Fusion on heartsong Live Radio. Please stay tuned, and I'll be right back. We're just going on a quick musical short break, and I'll see you soon. Yeah, you're welcome back. You're welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that beautiful, beautiful, sonorous bagpipes of Loch Lomond. That was bagpipe, the bagpipe version from the pipes and drums of Linus. Okay, and they're the pride of Scotland. All right. So, we're talking about the similarities between diverse fashions, African, Asian, and European, particularly Scotland, India, and Nigeria, Igbo, South, the southeastern people of Nigeria. Yes, so if you're just tuning in, my name is Omolara Augustina Sheweje, popularly called Olori Sheweje MC Extraordinaire, and I'm your host on Culture Fusion. So if you're just listening to Culture Fusion for the first time, we say thank you for joining us. And Culture Fusion, we talk about cultures, the similarities, differences, uniqueness about people's culture. We encourage people to learn about people's cultures so as to have a deeper understanding about the way of life of other people, so as to promote diversity and inclusion in our society globally. So we have spoken about the southeastern people's George. That's the ceremonial outfit for Igbo women. And we have talked about the Scottish kilt. We've talked about the Indian sari. Okay, so we want to talk about some musical instruments that are unique to people, that are unique to different, places in the world, and these how these musical instruments connect people together, how these musical instruments are unique to the people that we are talking about. So we're going to be talking about the southwestern people of Nigeria. You're welcome back. You're welcome back. So, yeah, we're talking about musical instruments that are peculiar to certain people and the similarities between these musical instruments. So, let's talk about the Scottish bagpipes and the talking drum, the African talking drum. There are different types of drums in Africa. However, the talking drum is peculiar to the people of the southwestern part of Nigeria, particularly the southwestern part of Nigeria. And the gong, they call it the gong, and they call it the talking drum. Now, the talking drum is a drum that, is used to communicate, to say, it literally speaks, the language of the people that are drumming it, literally. So the talking drum can actually speak any language. However, it's only until you know how to beat the talking drum that you can use it to your own advantage. That is the uniqueness of the talking drum. So the southwestern people use the talking drum whenever there is a ceremony. They usually use it as a musical instrument. Any kind of southwestern song that doesn't really carry the talking drum is believed not to be rich enough. It's believed not to be complete until as a musician uses the talking drum whenever they are making music. Then it is believed that the music is not complete as long as the people don't hear the talking drum in the song. One of the reasons why people have so much passion, so much love for the talking drum is because it resonates with every sound in the song. It adds to the flavor of the song. It adds to the vibe in the song that you're listening to. And, that is one of the reasons why it's so unique to the southwestern people of Nigeria. And, it's so loved. Now, let's move on to the bagpipe. Yeah, you have been listening to different melodies of bagpipes, and I know you might wonder what makes the bagpipe unique. Yes, the bagpipe is a peculiar musical instrument to Scotland. There are other nations that use the bagpipe, but it is a traditional musical instrument in Scotland, and anywhere that you go to in Scotland, the uniqueness and what makes your tour in Scotland complete is when you hear someone play the bagpipe. The bagpipe is so unique to Scottish people that the bagpipe is, their anthem is also, played with the bagpipe as well. So it's very, very, it's a very, very dear and highly valued musical instrument in the Scottish community, in every Scottish community particularly, and personally, I have kind of connected myself with the bagpipe, and I think I understand the reason why the Scottish people have so much love for it, because there is something so deep about the bagpipe that you cannot deny when you listen to it and you take your time to pay attention and let it sink into your soul. You get connected to it. You get, so immersed in the melody of the bagpipe. So the bagpipe, is highly valued by the Scottish people. The same way the talking drum is extremely, valued by the southwestern people of Nigeria. Now, there's something about the talking drums. There are different types of talking drums. There is the big one, the small one, the medium one. They come in various sizes. However, they are all unique. They literally do their work talking. They talk, they communicate, they complete music in the southwestern part of Nigeria. And there are other types of drums in Africa. We also have the dundun. The dundun is also a drum. It's not like the talking drum that you carry on your shoulder, because the talking drums are usually lifted on the shoulder. However, the dundun is a kind of drum that is placed on the floor, and they beat it on the floor. It's similar to the conga. The dundun is similar to the conga. However, it's not the same. It doesn't give the same vibe, the exact vibe of a talking drum. So, and the way the talking drum, the dundun is usually hand beaten, while the talking drum has its own kind of stick that they use to beat it. And every stick is kind of usually connected to a drum. It's usually, it's just like the way a pen is assigned to a touch screen. That is how a talking drum stick is also assigned to every talking drum. It completes the talking drum. You can't beat the talking drum with the hands. It's very, very important for you to use. It's important for you to use a stick to beat your talking drum, and you must ensure that when you're beating the talking drum, you hit the right notes. If not, your talking drum is not going to talk. You've got to hit the correct notes when necessary, and that is how you compose your words as someone who is beating the talking drum. However, if you keep hitting the talking drums and you're not hitting the right notes, you're not hitting the right keys, or how do I put it? You're not hitting the right. Let's use the word notes, because there are no keys on the talking drum. So if you hit the right notes, the right tune, then it will give the correct expression. So the talking drum is such a unique kind of drum that you need to understand how the secret behind how it works before you're able to use it, before you're able to master it. And there are people who are deep into the mastery of the talking drum. They are professionals at it, the same way there are professional bagpipers. There are professional bagpipers, there are pipers, and there are pipers. There are professional bagpipers that hit wonderful, amazing notes that a regular piper would not be able to attempt. So these two musical instruments, they are very peculiar. They are very unique to these two regions. However, there are other places that use some of these musical instruments. However, they aren't peculiar to them. Why? Because they probably is not really a kind of identity for them. However, when we're talking about the southwestern people, particularly the Yoruba people, the talking drum is peculiar to the Yoruba people. The Scottish bagpipe, the bagpipes are peculiar as well to the Scottish people, because it carries the value, it carries the story. There's a story behind the bagpipes of the Scottish bagpipes, same way there's a story behind the talking drum of the Yoruba people. Now, why am I highlighting these two amazing musical instruments? Now is because these two musical instruments signifies the spirit of these two places, and this is part of their culture as a people, is a part of the Scottish culture to always use the bagpipe at important ceremonies. The same way is important to the Yoruba musicians, the Yoruba celebrants, to always have a drummer at their event, especially when they're using a live band. What is a live band without a drummer? You know, it is drummers are so important in Yoruba land that we cannot do without them. And drumming signifies happiness, it signifies good news, it signifies good tidings. So you see, drumming and using the bagpipes, these two things are, they signify happiness, they signify joy, they signify celebration, they represent they represent positivity basically. And that is something that unifies the two of them. These are their similarities. These are the reasons why one cannot overlook these two instruments, because they are valued by the people that that own them, like the people that value them. So we should always respect them. Yeah, the talking drum might sound funny to someone who is not African, to someone who is not Yoruba. However, the bagpipe itself might also sound funny to someone who listens to it. However, it should be respected. Why? Because it is a symbol of value to the Scottish people. Same way, the drum is also a symbol of happiness and a valuable musical instrument to the Yoruba people from the southwestern part of Nigeria. Yes, like I said, every culture is unique, every culture is beautiful, every culture is valuable, and every culture is, distinct. Therefore, it is important for us, every one of us out there listening to the show, it's important for us to respect people's culture, respect people's way of life, respect people's ideologies, because it is because they are valued and they are important. That is why they are being preserved for ages, for generations. So at this point, I would like to encourage you to take a moment, look around you, wherever you find yourself, look around you, think, what are the things that I have seen in recent times that I do not understand? Take your time, read about them, ask questions about them from people who you feel might have the right answers. And if you do not get the right answers, take your time to ask, take your time to research, take your time to find out. I'll be right back. I'll go on a short break before we come to the end of the show. If you're just tuning in, welcome. This is Culture Fusion. My name is Omolara Shereje, and you're listening to Culture Fusion on Heartsong Live Radio. Stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
On air, on DAB, online, on your smart speaker, on your phone. This is Heartsong Live.
On air, on DAB. Yeah, you're welcome back. You're welcome back. You're welcome back. Yes, so we've been talking about the importance of cultures, the importance of respecting other people's cultures, the importance of, understanding and learning other people's culture. Thank you so much for joining the show today. I hope you have learned so much already about, the similarities, the uniqueness, the beauties about, every culture you come around. Today we talked about the Igbo traditional outfit. We talked about the Scottish kilt and the Indian sari. We also talked about the talking drum, the African talking drum that is unique to the southwestern people of Nigeria. And we also talked about the Scottish bagpipe. These are different things that are unique and peculiar to a set of people. These are beautiful, how will I put it? Like wonder musical instruments of value that represent a people. These are not just digitally generated kind of items or cultural things. They are things that were handmade by people from and passed on to generations, and these are things that have been preserved by different cultures all over the world. And it's very important for it signifies the fact that every culture has its own beauty. Every culture has its own uniqueness. Every culture has its own values, and every culture's values need to be respected by whoever comes across those cultures. And the reason is because, if you don't understand something about a culture, it's important for you to ask questions. Ask questions rather than abuse people's culture or diminish people's culture, or be ignorant about people's culture, because people's cultures are values that people uphold, and they are sacred to people who carry, who are who those cultures belong to. So it's important for us as a people to respect people's cultures. If you don't understand things about those cultures, ask questions. Take time to ask. If you feel uncomfortable asking, go ahead and read about cultures, read about people, read about people's values, what they uphold, people's truths, and what people cherish, and let these things and learn, because life is about learning. And the more you travel, the more you should learn. It's not just about experiencing the beauties about wherever you go. You also need to learn about what those people you are visiting. You need to learn about their values, learn about their history, learn about different things peculiar to a people in a geographical location. Every culture is beautiful. Every culture is unique. Every culture is amazing, and that is what we talk about on Culture Fusion. If you stayed with me this long today, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I love you, and I value you so much. My name is Omolara Augustina Shereje, and I look forward to having more of you on the show. Culture Fusion is always live 9 p.m. every Friday, and I will always be so excited to have you join me on the show every Friday. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Thank you very much for joining me this far and for staying with me up until now on the show. And this is me drawing the curtain for tonight, and I hope to be with you sometime soon. Don't forget, at the moment, the United Nations women are actively campaigning against digital violence against women. Digital violence against women. So take your time to also know more about these campaigns. Also join the campaign, give a voice to it, lend a voice to it. Ensure you're a part of the people campaigning against digital violence against women. These has to stop, and we hope we win. Thank you very much, and I will see you same time next week. Once again, my name is Omolara Augustina Shereje, and this is me drawing the curtain. I'll see you same time next week. For now, it's goodbye.